Welcome back to Pro Stream. Welcome back to The Verdict. It's our continuing coverage of the elections, and we're keeping up with what's going on.
Yes, and we're still getting your thoughts and what you think, how you're preparing as the eve of the elections is today. Hashtag The Verdict, hashtag Election 2019, and you can also send us an email. You can see on your screen at theverdict@channelstv.com. Well, let's get back to our guests who are in the studio waiting patiently. We still have Mr. Frankenba, Forces PRO, Police Force PRO. We also have Eze Chukwemeka, Executive Director, West Africa Network for Peace Building. And also, we also have Mr. Oluwole Osaze-Uze, Voter Education and Publicity. But we were talking vote buying just before we went on break. And one question that, you know, someone asked is, the Nigeria Police Force has been urged to track and arrest politicians involved in vote buying, and this ahead of the elections. But do we see that? Would there be a will to see this done? I mean, we're talking, in quote, politicians now. I think this question can go to Mr. Amba. It can also go to Mr. Uzi and Mr. Chukwemeka.
Okay. Basically, I think for us, vote buying is an offense, and indeed, it's clearly spelled out in the Electoral Act. If you get yourself involved in either vote buying or vote selling or illicit procurement of the voter's card or dealing with your voter's card in any other way, you're certainly committing an offense. And we've said this repeatedly, that we will enforce this law and enforce it to the letter. However, you must also understand that there are basic challenges that comes with enforcing this law, because the truth, and if the truth must be said, is that a lot of incidences of vote buying happen behind the scene. And when two adults decide to commit an offense behind the scene and consensually, for that matter, you don't have anybody blowing the whistle for you. And even when you arrest either or both of them, you also have challenges with evidence, because what you have essentially are two hostile witnesses, and then it throws a lot of cog in the wheel of prosecution. But be that as it may, we are committed, and we need to put an end to this impunity. And that's why, like I've told you earlier on, the IGP decided to go a step further in setting up a special election offenses investigations team. And the good thing is, we will, for anyone arrested in connection with any electoral offense or offenses, we will work with the legal team of INEC to ensure that the cases or case is or are diligently investigated and conclusively prosecuted. And we are sending this message, and sending it very strongly out there to all our citizens, politicians, and everyone out there.
I know Mr. Uzi's stand has always been that
you must not engage in vote buying. Stay off.
I was going to say that I know that Mr. Osaze-Uze's stand has always been that everybody is responsible and, you know, is also involved in ensuring that vote buying or vote selling doesn't occur during the elections.
Yes, indeed, because I think it's a factual situation. In addition to the issues raised by Mr. Frankenba, very brilliantly put, I think we should all look at it this way. Sometimes when offenses are committed on election day, we need witnesses. It's not enough for the police should arrest. Yes, they can arrest, and INEC can prosecute. But who are the witnesses we are going to use to conclude this case? If you arrest people, you must charge them to court. First of all, they must make statements to the police. The police carries out its own investigations and then charge them to court. Are the people willing to come to court to testify against the vote? The people bribing people, against the vote buyers or vote sellers? There must be witnesses who come there, first-hand experience, who will come and tell the court what they saw before the court can actually act, except, of course, they go there and just plead guilty to the offense. So these are some of the challenges. And yes, You're quite right. So we have to look at it critically. Everybody has a role to play. Even if usually the police will come after the offense is committed, and then you will have to rely on witnesses. But even if the policeman sees the offense being committed, he probably got there from a transferred place. Arrangements have to be made for him to come and give evidence in court. The observers very often rely on their reports. Brilliant, very good. But very often they're not ready or willing or able to come to testify about the contents of those reports. And it's not sufficient to as it were, dump those reports in a court and expect the court to act on it if the maker of that report, the maker of that document, has not come to give evidence. So these are some of the things that people should be conscious of and aware of.
You're talking about evidence and witnesses, yet people are not allowed to, go to the polling unit with their telephones. How are they going to give you evidence if they can't use what they have?
I beg your pardon, sorry to interrupt, that's not correct.
That's not true.
Okay.
They are not allowed to go into the polling cubicle. Cubicle is different from polling unit. We encourage people to go to the polling unit with their phones. But we're talking of cubicle. You cannot enter the cubicle. That is the little box where you cast your vote in secret. But you're allowed to go to the polling unit with your phone. In any case, a phone corroborates your evidence. It corroborates what you saw with your eyes. You can come to, if it gets to court, you come and say what you saw and what you heard. You don't necessarily have to back up. It helps your case so much more if you back it up with that evidence. So if people they don't go to the cubicle to exchange money. They do it in a nearby house or in the vicinity of the point, not in the cubicle, because it's only one person that goes into the cubicle at a particular time.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. This question, I think, is for Mr. Frankumba. It's from Timothy Fate on Twitter. It says, there is need for the Nigeria police to give more assurance to the voters, especially the youths and women. A lot of persons are still scared and skeptical for fear of their safety. I've heard instances where parents call their kids who are within the voting age to stay at home.
Well, I'll probably just send this message of reassurance to them. And perhaps after that, I might be excusing myself from the studio because there are so much other jobs out there, and I'm getting calls from the office already. The Nigerians out there, whether they are men, women, the young, everyone out there is encouraged to come out en masse tomorrow to actually exercise their franchise. The truth really is we are out there to provide for them adequate and sufficient security. Like Mr. Seze has repeatedly said, the policemen are out there not to intimidate you. They are out there to protect you. If you don't have any intention of committing that offense or offenses, you have no reason to be scared. You have no reason to feel arbitrary with the presence of policemen. And the major reason why we ensure that the policemen who are going to be in the immediate area where the voting will be taking place will not be armed is also to create this very friendly atmosphere. We don't want to see them carrying arms when people are actually voting or casting their vote or trying to go through the processes of cross-checking before voting. And so we ensure that law enforcement agencies within the inner circle where the voting will be taking place are unarmed. And that's essentially to also reassure people that we're there for them, we're there to serve them, we're there to protect them, we're there to provide an enabling environment for them to be able to actually perform their franchise unhindered and without any form of molestation. We are there for you, we're there to support you, we're there to work for you.